I don't want to do this anymore. Every trade I take just ends up being a loss. What am I doing wrong?
Trader Nick, 𝗀𝗚𝗓, trust me. Remember to trail your stops.
I just took a trade on 𝗀𝗚𝗓, and in this video we're going to watch that trade play out start to finish, win or loss, and I'll put it up on YouTube. I've been on a little bit of a losing streak, full transparency, so let's see if 𝗀𝗚𝗓 can start to turn things around. If not, we'll take another loss and we'll still play the patience game. But let's jump into the analysis behind the trade, and then what we'll do is we'll watch the trade unfold. If you stick around to the end of the video, you'll see whether or not I'm able to make some money on this and what happens. Okay, so I entered into 𝗀𝗚𝗓 just a few minutes ago on this particular candle. Now let's break down where we're at with the trade and kind of price action. If you take a look, first of all, at the trend here, you might very quickly say, like, Nick, why the heck are you buying this market? It's trending down and it does not look very optimistic for buyers. Well, that would generally be my assumption too if I was only looking at the 30-minute chart, which is where I placed my trade. But let me show you guys something kind of cool. If we take a look at the daily chart, take a look at what we saw happen recently. We actually just started bouncing off of a major zone of support. Now, I tried to buy this thing earlier this week and did not make any money on it. In fact, I lost money on it. But after seeing the strong rally off of this level, I have reassured confidence that I believe we have a good chance of going higher here on the CAD-JPY. And if you look at this trend, that looks very different than the 1 hour pullback that we were just looking at. Of course, if you look at, the 30-minute chart, if you're just looking at the 30-minute chart, you can very quickly assume, oh, this is a downtrend, it's going down. But remember, context is key, and a daily rejection at a major level of support could turn into multiple days or perhaps even weeks of buying on the CAD-JPY currency pair. Okay, so what about the entry? Well, price came down to the 38.2% retracement, and after touching into this zone and finding some initial buying pressure, I decided it's gonna be time for me to go ahead and jump into the trade. Now, I don't wanna see this price start breaking back down against me. I really would like to see this thing continue to rally in my favor very quickly, or otherwise I will stop out of the trade. Let's take a look at the 1 hour chart and I'll show you the idea there. Basically, if we are not able to hold this area, then what I'm gonna do is probably look to break even take my loss if we come back down to this level of support. I really wanna see this level of support hold on the higher time frames very, very well. Otherwise, I'll just step out of the trade. And that's just how we're gonna approach this thing. Of course, it could go in my favor, it could go against me. In one particular trade, I don't know the next thing. A lot of times traders will think, like, a good trader knows every single trade, how it's likely to play out. And I think that there's a good chance that we could see more upside, but on this one trade, I don't know if I'm gonna make money or lose money, which is kind of why these videos are a little bit fun to record. With that said, where could we go? Let's talk about some setups or some expectations to where we could see this market rally to, should we be correct about the trade plan. Okay, so if we start rallying and we start taking a look at the higher time frames here on the 4 hour chart, we get a little bit of a view as to where I think price could go. How about this level here, that previous level of structure? And then, of course, you've also got areas like this, 105.43, and the previous high around 107. Putting that all together, I think that gives us a pretty dang good risk to reward relative to the stop loss that we have placed on the trade. And, I think that is just something I'd be willing to try to hold for as a retest of that previous high. If I can stay in the trade, I'll plan to trail stops and continue to follow the trade. Now, one thing I'll mention is that I don't have a strict take profits. I'm not actually looking to close out the trade if we hit these levels. What I'm looking to do is trail my stop loss behind market structure. So for example, if we jump to the upside here, I may look to take this stop loss and move it up on my trade to avoid taking a bigger loss, or perhaps even locking in some profit should the trade start going in my favor. Every trade I take goes inside of our private Discord channel. If you would like to see the trades that I'm taking and why I'm taking them, please feel free to use the link down below in the description to sign up for the Discord channel. We have access to a chat room for members. You can share your trades with other traders here. So we have a community-led trade ideas room. We also have a chat room so you can see what other people are talking about. You can see the trades being taken by myself, by Frank, and by Ivan. I think Frank took a dollar Swiss trade this morning. Yep, so he bought dollar Swiss. You can see I just bought my CAD yen trade. So you can see the trades being taken, and more importantly, why they're being taken with every trade alert shared. Check it out down below in the description, and hope to see some of you guys inside of the Discord. All right, guys, it's a time for this update on the trade. It's been a few days here since I initially entered into the position. You can see got in on this green candle, and truthfully, in hindsight, my entry doesn't look very good on the daily chart, but on the lower time frames, I felt like I got a pretty good entry. I'm reconstructing my trade a little bit here just because it's been a few days since I've actually updated my position. I decided to buy this thing on a retest. I believe I bought it around here. In fact, let's see what the, let me get my broker to show it up on the screen here. There we go. There's the entry. So yeah, I bought right here on a pullback, and so far looking pretty good. In fact, at this point, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I am going to go ahead and secure profits on this trade, or sorry, not secure profits, but rather take my risk off of the table. I love to do this anytime that I can do it in the market. I'm happy to do it. We are seeing the signs of a nice bullish market, but we are coming up into levels of resistance. And as we poke up into that, it is an evening update right now. So I have, the potential of seeing this price, rally up into these zones during the London session. And so what I want to go ahead and do is just take my risk off the table, knowing that if we do get stopped out of the trade, we're not going to take a loss on this. And in fact, what we'll do is, let me adjust that just a little bit. We'll go for just barely better than break even, which is going to lock in $41 on the trade. I know, crazy numbers there. But what we'll do here, and the reason that I like to do this is a couple things. Number one, psychologically, I like to trail stops. And there's been an argument among traders, some people will say, oh, trailing stops is, not as profitable, or it is more profitable. There's a whole debate about it. But the other thing about trading that's really important, you guys, like low key, so important, is actually doing something that's comfortable to you. And I know, people say it all the time. It's kind of this blanket statement, do what works for you, if it's comfortable to you, do it. But genuinely think about this for a second. You have to be able to do this stuff for long stretches of time to make money out of the markets. It's not something that you make money quickly out of. So if you're going to be doing it for some long periods of time, to me, it's important to find methods and strategy approaches that, yes, they are profitable, but also they are comfortable to execute for you. And for me, I like the idea of taking my stop loss, taking it off of risk, or taking the risk off the table and just saying, hey, you know what? If this market doesn't break out and doesn't keep going bullish, if it comes crashing down, I'll just take a break-even trade. Sure, it's not going to be my $700 profit that I have floating, but at least it won't be a $700 loss. Because remember, we opened up this trade with risk on the table, and now we are taking it off the table. So we're just saying, hey, you know what? 107,000 units here. We're not playing around with tiny lot sizes or anything like that. So we are looking for this market to make its move and to start busting through levels of resistance. Otherwise, the trade is no longer valid, and we're going to go ahead and have to take our trade off. And to me, that's a very logical way to approach this. Again, we are floating around $750 of profit on the trade. Nice little start to the move, but again, plenty of room to run here. Now, one thing I also like, and part of the reason that I like to stay in the trades that I do, is because I have confluence from our software. We still get a buy reading here from CAD yen. If this was suddenly to switch to like a sell reading, then I would probably actually look to potentially take profits or trail my stop more aggressively. But CAD yen, still printing a potential bullish move. And what I do like also is that the month of June and July historically are positive for the pair. So that's a benefit. Also, another major benefactor here is, take a look at this. The Canadian dollar has popped up into the buy category from institutional traders. You can see it's got that light blue color. And in the COT data, we now have a +2 reading. What that tells us, +2, by the way, what this means, no black box algorithm stuff. This is +1 when we have a strength for this. And this is for yen would be negative for yen, but because we are shorting the yen, that would actually be a positive. So that gives us a +2, right? So we institutional data telling us to go long CAD yen, and this is one of the most important factors to me in terms of my analysis. So that's why we have it in the edge finder. So overall, we still got a positive score, still willing to hold on to this trade. Market structure looks good, and we are going to see if we can break through this. So next phase is to see if, and pay attention to the fact that if we can break through this, then we may be cooking with gas here, and we could potentially see a nice profitable trade come into play. Again, higher time frames still look good, holding the daily chart as we would have expected. You can see it took me 2 tries here. My first trade did not go very well, but the second trade seems to be starting out well. Maybe I was a bit late to it on the daily chart, but on the lower time frames, still worthwhile. I bought the low of the day. Things worked out pretty well. You can see price pulled back, caught just about the low of the day, and so far still looking pretty good. So we'll execute off the hourly chart from here and let this trade play out. Once it updates further, I'll let you guys know. All right, guys, and another update here on the CAD yen trade. Things are going very, very well here. You can see our entry getting further and further behind us here, which is exactly what you want to see, especially when you're trailing stops, which is my predominant approach to managing a trade. I now have my stop loss locked just behind market structure here. So what we saw is at this level historically, we saw sellers pretty dang strong. So as a buyer, that was why I was kind of considering, hey, you know what, let me lock my stop to break even just in case this thing rejects very hard and we come back down. It could have happened. And in that case, I've had many trades that go like that where I break even and it just is what it is. But in this case, what we've done now is we are officially in profit with the trade. We cannot lose on this trade anymore because what we've got here, as you can see, you've got a scenario in which case we have broken through that level looking left, and we've trailed that stop loss just behind that market structure. Because if price does come back to retest, we don't really want to see price, or at least I don't with my trading strategy here, I don't want to see market structure get violated or broken to the downside. In that case, I will take my profit. At this point, my profit is locked in around $780 on the trade, which is an excellent spot to be in. I can't complain with the worst case scenario being I make $800. From here though, next step, we have to be forward thinking with the trading. We have to be planning for the next event. Okay, if we look left, what we have is we have current resistance where we currently sit at this level here, which specifically, if you'd like to look at this on your own chart, is right around the 105.50 mark on CAD yen. If price is able to break through this level, we will repeat the process, meaning if we clear this zone and put in any sort of higher low on the lower time frames, anything like that, we will go ahead and look to trail stops up to this point and lock in some more profit on the trade. This is a wonderful spot to be in. I cannot complain, like I said, with a trade like this. The question now is, can we get the run up to previous highs and beyond? If this starts to come into play, again, this trade could become a nice overall winner for us. It is as is right now. We're floating around $1,700. So let's see if we can go for some more, see if we can get a move back to the previous high, in which case we'll be looking at a very profitable trade. Now, of course, I have to pause here and say, yes, I have profit on the table, but I have been around for a while on YouTube. I've been trading for a long time. I've been around for a while. There's been many instances where I close a trade like this and then, the market just screams higher. And then there are other times where on videos that I'll record, what I'll do is I'll hold on to a trade just like this, and markets will come all the way back down. And I'll get some questions and comments of people saying like, Nick, why didn't you close the trade up here? Like, you should have closed it, was at resistance. But remember, some of the best trades that happen, some of the best trends, they're going to be the sort of trends that break through resistance without much attempt. Those are the kind of trades that I'm ultimately after. And that's also why I take a very small actual win percentage of my trades. Like, most of my trades result in break evens or losses because it's very rare for a market to do a screaming uptrend or a screaming downtrend for a very long period of time. But that's what I'm looking for, and that's where I catch my best trades that actually give me, where I find my edge, is looking for those incredible winners that come every once in a while. So what we'll do here is we'll pause, see if we can break this zone, and I'll come back to you guys with an update soon. All right, guys, quick little update here on my CAD yen trade. I need to tighten this stop loss a little bit, and what I'm going to try and do here is take a second to explain why I'm moving my stop loss and my thought process on where I should put it next. Okay, so we had this really nice run. The trade has gone in our favor. We are now managing a winning position. At this time, we have come back down from our $1,800, $1,900 profit at one point here, down to around $1,300. So we are still in the trade, but there's an important thing that we did today that needs to be addressed and accounted for in the trade management. if we take a look, and this is a trick I like to use with the RSI on the 1 hour chart for managing my trade, take a look at what we saw here happen recently. We poked into the oversold territory on this candle. Why does that matter? Well, I don't really use the RSI for prediction purposes per se, but what I do use it for is I'll take a scenario in this case where we see this market reach an oversold status, and because I am trend following, I'm expecting this market to rise off of this level very, very quickly. In a strong upward trend market, you pretty much want to see oversold status levels hold very well. And now, not only have we done that, we've extended back up to the previous or the opposite extreme, showing some shorter term overbought status. Again, nothing magical about the RSI, but just using it for the purpose of trade management, I find it very, very helpful for clarifying some things. So now that we've put in a higher low, quantified by our RSI metric here, and returning back to the high, so a higher low could be defined. One arguable way to define it would be going from the oversold status to the overbought status. In an uptrend, that showed us that price came down to an oversold status and then rallied right on up into overbought. In that scenario, perhaps that's the recipe, and this is how I personally will trail a stop further. Next up is, where do we trail that stop? Well, not by much, but just enough for it to matter. What you can see here is that looking at market structure now, and if we put our RSI away, what you can see is that we pretty much respected this area very, very well. We tried to wick underneath. Perhaps there was some stop losses grabbed, etc. If you want to go for the fake out or liquidity grab, etc. If you're into that sort of stuff, perhaps we saw a little bit of that action. Price rallied, and now I think it's safe to say, if I'm going to trail my stop, I can just tighten it up just a little bit. Now, this is not going to be a huge adjustment. We're already locking in $780, but using price action, I think we're comfortably going to be able to move this stop loss up just to right 104.62, which now locks in $749. Now, that's not a big difference. We went from 780 to locking in 950. There's not a huge difference there, but over the course of many, many trades and years of doing this, by slightly tweaking, I can accurately say that this has improved my overall profit and loss by making sure that I'm staying up to date with my price action and modifying the trade. There we go, we've locked it in, when the markets give me some sort of cue to do so. And in that case, again, let's reiterate what just happened. We saw the market come into an oversold status here today and then rally back into overbought, securing or sort of going with the idea that the trend is still healthy. We've seen a higher low, and it's time to tighten up the stop loss just a little bit. And this constant little tightening, this little adjustments here and there, doesn't sound like a big action, but in the long term, you know, that might save me $200 because maybe price comes down here, and if that starts to happen, you know, that distance could have cost me an extra $200 on the trade, putting me into not necessarily the red, but less green from my winning trades. So again, we're securing a little bit more profit here on the trade, still giving this thing room to run. We just don't want to see price come underneath. And this is a great example of a trade and trade management process that I go through with each one of my positions that ends up being a runner. So what I'll do now is I'm going to go ahead and pause, and I'm going to share the updated trade here with members inside of our VIP Discord. Remember, if you're not already inside of the Discord, take advantage of some of the discounted codes that are down below in the description. We'd love to have you join the group, and you can see all the trades being taken by myself, the wins, the losses, and you can also see some trades from our other top traders. We have a couple other people who share their ideas and trades within our Discord community. More information in the description down below. All right, you guys, and we are all out of the CAD yen trade, and I'm gonna go ahead and pat myself on the back here a little bit because that little adjustment that we actually talked about here ended up saving me after talking about it for a while. It genuinely ended up saving a couple $100 extra on the trade. And part of the reason why was we identified an area where we didn't want to see market collapse underneath. It ended up happening, and that was our trigger to go ahead and get out. And thankfully we did, because look exactly what happened shortly after. This is kind of amazing. Just the power of market structure. You can see price broke underneath here, retested that very same level that we highlighted, found resistance there, and henceforth the sellers have taken over. So in this case, what we ended up doing is by trailing that stop loss and tightening it up using market structure and our analysis of, where we essentially want to get out if things go wrong, we saved ourselves an extra $200 and ended up making around $950 on the trade total. This, in my book, is what I would call a great trade. I ended up capitalizing on the most of this potential move that I could have. Of course, hindsight 2020, I should have closed right at the top, but that's not how trading works. And in my style of trading, what this means is, I take winners, and occasionally my winners are very small. Sometimes they're really big, and occasionally you get one like this, which is a pretty good sized winner at around $950. I will take that. Helps me to climb out of this losing streak that I've been in, and we're on the path to better trading days ahead. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit the thumbs up below and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more. Remember to take advantage of our discounted Discord codes if you would like to join into the action. The link will be down below in the description, and I hope to chat with some of you guys in there. See you next time. Looks like it's time for your next trading video. Check out the videos here and here for more free trading content that should help you in your trading journey. We try and keep it real here, so make sure to subscribe for more content that is down to earth, realistic Forex trading content. See you in the next video.